Hey everyone, welcome back to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends stay connected through a shared love of romance, frank discussions of life, love, and keeping it real, and giggle, mostly at ourselves. This week's Patreon shoutout goes out to Katie T. Katie, you are a shining descendant of Cerberus, the watchdog of the underworld. By nature, you're very kind and protective, shepherding those under your purview with great care. However, you have high standards for your loyalty, and you're not afraid to dish out consequences to those who step out of line or abuse others. You also have great respect for the arts, talent, and the beautiful in this world. So you've been known to show your soft underbelly when pampered by someone you trust. You also may only have one head these days, but you retained the vast amount of wisdom that Cerberus packed into each of his 3 brains. So your capacity for knowledge and empathy is a thing to behold. And now, let's get into our oft-requested selection, A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's the first book in a YA series by Sarah J. Maas. Hi, Erin.
Hello, Melody. That's right. We've started.
Do you hate me?
And it's time.
No!
Guys, not only... I was like, just press fucking record and I'm going to tell them everything that just happened. Not only did Melody text me this week to tell me about her poop.
Nope, I did not. It was not. Nope. That's not how it happened.
It was not an accident.
It was.
And there are several HBs that were fucking there. So don't even.
Who were there?
Yeah. That were there when you were texting me about your poop.
I did not text you about my poop. No, I texted you a funny back and forth between Michael and I. I sent her a screenshot of some text messages.
What were the text messages about?
I thought that it started with Michael saying, those aren't euphemisms, ... And then I said, well, it's way more polite than I want to be. And he said, that could be the subtitle of your autobiography. So I thought I sent that to Erin.
No.
But I unfortunately and accidentally included the subject of Michael and my conversation.
Which, pray tell, was what?
Which may or may not have been an uncomfortable digestive situation.
Yeah. Anyway, so that happened, and no one apologized for it.
No, I didn't. I was so rude. I realized afterwards that she was like, yikes. And I said, oh, come on. We've talked about things like that before.
Yeah, fine. And then we were setting up just now, and you were like moving your boobs all around because you guys, Melody has like huge knockers right now because of her pregnancy, and she was moving them all around, and I'm like, you good? And you said that you're wearing an uncomfortable
my bra.
Sure, that you're wearing an uncomfortable underwire bra, and I said, take it off, and then you told me some details that I did not want to know about your nipples, and I won't share them with the public.
I'm just in a place where I can't really go braless because things are more sensitive because of the pregnancy.
My God.
That's all.
That's all it is. That was not what you said. I'm not going to say what you said, but it was. I pictured it, and it was the worst. And
here's my biggest question for you.
Yeah,
because I feel like you're having a larger reaction than you have had to my TMI in the past.
Yeah,
and I'm really wondering if it's either that you are just over my TMI, you've hit your limit, and that's it.
That's not it.
Or
I know exactly what it is.
Everything is pregnancy related.
It's because everything is pregnancy related. If you sent me a non-pregnancy poop text, I'd be like, oh yeah, tell me more about your shits. What's going on in there? Yeah,
because I
what's the density?
When we went on cleanses together, you were fine.
We talk about poops all the time. Ooh, pregnancy. It's so gross.
You know, a lot of it is not glamorous. I will give you that.
A lot of it?
Well, most of it, really.
Name a thing that's glamorous. A glamorous thing about pregnancy.
My fucking glow. Look at my skin right now. Look at it.
Your skin that's how it always is.
No, this is This is delicious.
This is
hormone.
normal. This isn't like you just got back from the fairy realm. This is normal stuff.
Little bit. It's 50% more blood volume that I have, so that everything.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You get. Oh my god! Everything I learn is like the most strangest and like
how do you think I support the fetus?
You
just with my own blood?
Blood inside of you? Your body makes more blood.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons pregnant women are really thirsty, especially at the beginning, because you're creating a lot of shit, including but not limited to amniotic fluid and 50% more blood supply.
50% more blood supply.
Yeah, it's bananas.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so gross. I just
Oh, your hatred of pregnancy is endlessly hilarious, you guys. To me, honestly.
There for the grace of God go I. Like, oh man, if I ever get knocked up, it's going to be an accident and it's going to be horrifying. My future children listening to this, I don't give a shit. If you're listening, it was horrifying. Whatever happened, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me.
And you know what, Erin? If it does ever befall you, I will be here for any and all of your TMI conversations.
I will never tell. I'm just going to lock myself in a room. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't look at you now and not think about how you have so much more blood. I can't. It's so weird. It's so weird.
I mean, I get rid of it.
Yeah.
I do. I get rid of it as soon as the baby's gone.
Oh, God, don't tell me about your placenta art or whatever it is you do.
I don't do anything with my placenta, thank you very much.
Are you sure? Because so when we were talking about how you were texting me about poops, I was with people when this happened. I was like, Melody is always very TMI about her pregnancy, and I don't want to know any of it.
First
and I
of
think
all,
that
she
keeps
is patently false. A lot of times I don't tell you a goddamn thing because I know.
That's what I know. That's what I was about to say. And I think she keeps the most disgusting details from me because she knows that I will just wither into a husk if I hear it. And I'm concerned that she does things with her placenta that are like unimaginable to me, but she's like kept it under wraps because she knows that I can't handle it.
No, I don't do the placenta capsules or the placenta burgers anything.
I'll never know because I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if you're telling me the truth, and that's fine. I would tell the
HBs. I mean, you know, I'm not.
Would you tell me like, Erin, turn off your headphones?
That's right. I would.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
We have some housekeeping. I was going to say this last week, but I wanted to let everybody know, especially if you're in government or business management. My friend Andy has a podcast now. It's about 6 episodes deep. He's super funny, super smart. Him and his friend Larry have a podcast called Red Taped, where they read like business and leadership books, and then they talk about them, and it's funny, and they get drunk while they do it. So it's cool. If you're one of the, well, maybe not drunk, but they drink while they do it.
Sure.
Drinky situation. But yeah, if you're somebody who's in like a management sort of a thing or like a government sort of a thing, leadership, and there were all these books that you were supposed to read in grad school and you didn't, or you're thinking about like improving that quality of your work life, but you don't know if these, well, first of all, they summarize every of them is summarized, all of them. So it makes you not have to read that book, or you can listen to it and decide whether you want to read that book. Because I've listened to a few, and there are a few that I was like, oh, that always sounded like a good book to me. And now it sounds like not good book.
Oh, cool.
I don't know why I can't talk.
That's
not
really
good
awesome.
Book.
So Red Taped is the podcast.
Red Taped.
And so
with
they
Andy and Larry.
turn some pretty dense leadership and government books into an excellent listening experience.
Yes.
Awesome.
And this week they actually read like a novel about management, and there was like a small amount of romance in there too. So yeah, like a little bit of email romance, but it ends up just being like, hey, you shouldn't have used your work email to do this.
Yeah. Usually that's how that story goes.
Yeah.
Can we tell them about how you tried to be a Melody in the bath?
Oh God, you guys!
I got some excellent pictures of Erin attempting to be a Melody in a bath.
I tried it.
She failed.
I lit the candle from Bubbles and Books. I got in the bath. Okay, here's my bath routine. I put the bomb in. I light the candle. I do the stuff.
Right.
Then I get in the bath, and then I wash myself, and then I leave the bath.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
Interesting. We have such a different strategy as far as baths
I
are
don't know
concerned.
how you survive. It gets so hot in there. So I'm texting her selfies and being like, I'm 10 minutes
dying.
in. I'm so bored. I don't know what to do. And she's like, read a book. And I'm like, but like my safe towel that I'm supposed to wipe my hands on, it's already wet. And the steam is like making my Kindle wet. And it's making the book pages soggy. And like, I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, guys. I'm in the studio with Goat right now. You can probably hear her. Here's the thing, guys. We gave her a bone and she ate the bone.
Oh.
Like the bone, like in chunks. She was just like, hum, hum, hum. And so
no.
I felt like I couldn't lock her in her kennel for 2 hours while we recorded because I'm worried she's going to die.
Oh, no.
So she's in here so that I make sure that she doesn't die.
Fair.
But anyway, yeah, I tried and I failed miserably.
Well, you know what? You still pampered yourself. And that
Yes.
is something that I am totally down with. See, I am the bath is not for actual cleansing. The bath is for relaxation.
Yeah,
And then afterwards I shower. Yeah.
Blows my mind. Blows my mind.
I don't, because why are you immersing your hair in the bath bomb water? That makes no sense to me. Also, there might be food particles in that water. There usually isn't, but there might be.
Yeah, if you eat breakfast in there, you are the mother of dragons. Like, I don't know how you can take that much heat.
I am the mother of dragons, yes. But guys, there is a way that you can get all of this relaxation and luxury delivered to your door along with your favorite goddamn pastime, which is romance novels, obviously. And that is by picking up a subscription to Bubbles and Books. You get a romance novel in the subgenre of your choice. You can get the Swept Away box for a historical experience, a bad boy contemporary situation, or I think it's the Mystic box for your paranormal needs. All the worms and vampires. Yeah.
And other stuff.
And then you get a themed bath bomb, which has got essential oils and bubbles, and it colors your bath water. 2 or 3 book-related or bath-related goodies.
Or theme-related, because I got the fall box, and I got a little fall ornament in there, a little fall bracelet.
And then an artisan soap, which is really good for your skin. It's all high-quality products, and it's a once-a-month box. You can either get it for yourself, or you can gift it to a pal.
Yes.
And if you use the code BOSOM20, BOSOM20, at checkout, you get 20% off your first box.
Woo woo!
Oh my gosh. It's very
and
exciting.
that works whether you're a crazy person like Melody or you're a cleanser like Erin. You can just get in there and get out, still use that artisan soap, still use that bath bomb. Makes me very happy.
Totally. And then you can get in your jammas and read your book on the couch if you want, all snuggled up.
I gotta keep them separate. I can't be in there that long. I can't be in there that long.
I'm a combiner. Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Okay. All right, we've wasted too much time because this is the longest book in the history of the podcast. That's not true. 50 Shades Freed was 700 pages long.
It couldn't have been that long. It felt like
it was 600. It was 500 something. It was 570. Yeah.
I don't know how she did that. Yeah, but this was a much more in-depth and I would say satisfying experience. And that's weird coming from me, because there is actually not a ton of romance in this book.
Not a ton.
We read A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is the first book in a series by Sarah J. Maas. And it is a paranormal situation about an apocalyptic future. Not really. Kind of a post-war.
I don't know. Are they on Earth? Is it Earth? There was some... It's like another world. There's a wall. Yeah. The fairies are beyond it. I've read plenty of books before where there's walls with fairies beyond them. That's a thing.
Sure.
But I don't know, because they talked about something from the continent at some point. So I think they're in England, right?
Well, there's a map at the beginning, but I didn't pay much attention to it.
The map didn't have... I studied that map like it was... Because I just constantly was just like, where? What? I love maps. I love maps and books. If you can give me a map... Even if it's just like, it's just your normal contemporary and it's like, here's her apartment, here's his. I'm all over it. I'm like, ooh, a map.
Logistics
but it did not help me anymore about where they are.
Well,
I think it's supposed to be.
I think it's a totally different realm, planet, dimension. Who cares?
Yeah.
So this is all about Feyre which I really liked.
Wait, we read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
Honestly, you do this every time.
God, I didn't. I'll just go. Here, go take over this podcast. It's only going to be in Spanish from here on out, and she has quite a tummy ache, but she's probably going to do better than me.
Never. Okay, so we have Feyre, and she's basically Katniss Everdeen from Fairyland.
Yes.
And she's poor. She lives in District 11. It's rough.
It's rough.
She has to use her bow and arrow all over the place in order to feed her family. Her useless, ungrateful family. I could go on
her
many
family is so shitty. Let's do part 1. Bitching about Feyre's sisters, and then part 2, the rest of the book.
Good.
So they live in like a little shack. So they used to be rich.
They used to be soups rich.
And then her dad made a bad investment and it went bad. And then they came and like beat him up with bats. And now he's unable to walk well. And she and her 2 sisters live in a shack in the woods. And her 2 sisters are basically
useless,
mean idiots.
And they're just, they've just spit vitriol about it. Like, they're like, yeah, of course I didn't cut the wood. You're way better at cutting the wood. Like, get your fucking ass out there, Nesta. I will
out there and cut that wood.
You better earn your keep, fucking Nesta.
Didn't want to cut the fucking wood? Was going to marry the woodcutter's son? And Feyre was like, are you fucking kidding me? You will never cut wood. And you're going to marry the woodcutter's son? And she's like, I loves him. And she's like,
well, and he'll do it for me.
Yeah. And they're like, he has no money. And she's like, I don't care. And Feyre's like, I fucking care because I'm out here. I'm out in these streets, like, killing mice for us to eat every night. I fucking care.
That's right.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So she is the lone provider for the family.
Yeah.
She does this by using her bow and arrow and traps hunting animals for food, and then she sells the pelts to try to make sure they still have like warm boots and vegetables and stuff.
Yeah. And then the sisters go and take all her money and they're like ribbons and shit.
Yeah.
These sisters, you guys. Them. Elaine and Nesta.
Yeah. And Elaine is like sweet, but also completely useless. And only, why are you doing a flower garden, you asshole?
Yeah.
Grow a fucking vegetable.
She's a big old dummy.
The
other one is just a stone cold bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. I would love to see a book where she comes up to Faytown. Because I can't remember the land's name. So I'm going to call it Faytown, everybody. Not sorry.
Perinthian.
Peranthium.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep. You guys, it's going to get rough here as far as words go. There is a glossary and a pronunciation guide in the back of the book. And guess what? We're not going to use it. There's too much.
I just got the Audible. So.
Oh, you did?
I
did.
Do you
not know the thing of the name of the place?
I can't remember it. What do you want from me?
Fair. Okay. All right.
There are so many things to remember.
So fine. Anyway, yes, I would like to see Nesta go to Fairy Town.
And you know who I want her to get with?
Lucian.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just Lucian. We're just shunning through. It's just
yeah, Lucian.
It's not Lucian.
Say that.
I always thought it was Lucian.
Not to my knowledge.
I'm gonna go Lucian. That sounds better.
Right? Doesn't it sound better?
Yeah.
No, I mean I read it as Lucian before. Here was the thing. I did that thing where I got the Kindle and I was like kindling my life away, and then I looked at how far into it I was, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like 25% of the way in.
You read for an hour, you don't make a dent.
No, not at all. So I was like, fuck this. I've gotta get the Audible if I'm gonna get this done by the woof. And still, I really, really liked it.
Yeah.
And I already got the next book.
Oh, yeah. We should say, God, we're all over the place. Sorry, guys. We should also say the book that was requested in the 5-star review is actually the second book in this series. And everyone tells us the second book in the series, A Court of Mist and Fury, is the best book. It's so good. It's romance heavy. It's everything. But that you can't read it without reading the first book. So we're doing the first book because we have to, and we don't want to spoil everybody for the second book.
Yeah. Can I tell you my theory? Because I have not read the second book, and I have not even read a description. What?
I just want to say we're going to do that second book. I don't know if we're going to do it on the regular podcast or the Patreon or something, but we're going to do it. I say we do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I say we do it too.
Okay.
I'm so hoping that it's her going over to Rhysand.
Oh, of course it is.
Because I got some hot and heavy Persephone Hades vibes that I was just like clomming onto. Glom, I said.
Also, because he's way better than the hero in this book, like God. Times 1,000.
Noble bad guy is too much for me. I
don't know if you know this about me, but I have a small weakness for he's trying to do the right thing.
But just never the right way.
But he doesn't know the right way.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh, God. Yeah. Hardcore.
But we get ahead of ourselves. All right. She's hunting. She's bringing animals
she's fucking poor.
Back to the hovel. She's having sex with Isaac in the barn. She's doing a farm boy. She's 19. All right. So she goes out hunting.
She sees herself a doe. She almost falls over, just quaking in excitement.
She's so excited to eat up this doe, you guys. She's just like, oh my God. It's going to make me so warm with its furs. I'm going to eat some tonight. I'm going to make some jerky. She's got a whole plan for this thing.
But then, out of the corner of her eye, she sees a rustling in the bushes. And then all of a sudden, the most ginormous wolf she has ever seen comes out of the brush. And it's stalking. I got
so excited. I was like, wolf. This is our hero.
It's wolfing.
What a great wolf. Yeah. It's a werve. It's got beautiful eyeballs. And they're looking at her.
Beautifulest.
And she shoots it. I love that. Like, I was like, ooh, yeah, this is great. You shot the hero. And that's like, the meet cute is I shot you with a fucking arrow. Yeah. And then guess what, you guys? That wolf straight dies. Yep. Yeah.
And the wolf
dead.
Looks at her and doesn't even put up a fight. It's just all right, to fight. This is my fate. And she just shoots it again in the eyeball.
Then she shoots that doe, but she can't carry them both. No, it's like Oregon Trail, you guys.
It does. The wolf kills the doe. And because she does this, her strategy in this hunt was really good.
Doe first.
She waits for the wolf to kill the doe. Then she kills that fucking wolf like the apex predator she goddamn is. And then she skins the wolf, which is the smart move.
Sure.
And then grabs up the doe, like slits its throat so that it'll drain on the way home, and then gets it home. And she's like, I got us a pelt. We're gonna sell it. And her sisters all of a sudden want to talk to her. One of them is like, I'm not gonna cut that fucking wood. And she's like, if you want any of this money from these pelts, then
you're gonna cut the fucking wood.
Yeah, you're gonna get up early.
None of them help her clean this dough.
No, they're like, oh, you're gonna clean it, right?
Yeah.
How long do you think it'll take you? Because I'm so hungry. Ooh!
It's so fucking cold. She's been out there all night in rags and like nothing. She's carried a full-size deer and a wolf pelt on her back, and they're just like, break down that animal. We are hungry.
Yeah. And
also chop wood.
Her dad is like, he's fully in like a deep, deep depression. In addition to his actual physical injury. I shouldn't say actual. Yeah, an actual physical injury. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he is also just as useless. And he is sort of resigned to that. And so he's like, wow, you got us some food. Like, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Can't wait to eat it. And so she does all the goddamn work. So then she goes and she sells the pelts to this mercenary. We learn a little bit about Faytown and how to kill fairies. Little tiny bit.
Yeah, through a lot of inner monologue and stuff, we know Beyond the Wall is fairies. Fairies are real mean and vicious and terrible, and they used to enslave all the humans.
Right.
And they have ways to kill you that, like, you can't even imagine. And there's a lot of discussion of, like, skinning you alive, turning you into ribbons, that kind of thing. This mercenary, she's scarred to shit because of a fairy. Yeah. So, anyways, just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, and there are also, so there was a war a long time ago. There's a treaty in place so that we don't mix anymore. There are some humans that want to be, like, fairy acolytes. There are other humans that are, like, always defending themselves against a possible fairy invasion. It's a whole thing.
Right, yeah, it's a whole thing. There's a lot of world building in this thing. But then, so she sells the pelts. She gets a lot of money for them. Then she sees Isaac, and she's like, I gotta go bone Isaac.
She's like, Bone Town, population this guy.
Yeah.
And so she does that, which I really liked.
How excited were you that this heroine was not a virgin? How excited about that were you?
So excited. And I was especially excited because she was very pragmatic about the whole thing. She's like, do I love Isaac? No.
No,
I don't.
Do I love doing sex in a barn? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And he's just as pragmatic about it.
Yeah. Good for you, Feyre.
So she goes back and she's like, all right, sisters, I got to get my bone on. You go back to the house. See you never.
Yeah, here's like 10 cents for ribbons or whatever.
Yeah, go do your frivolous stupidity. And then...
Were you going to say stupid titties?
No, but it would have been...
That's what it sounded like.
Would have been good, too.
Go on, you stupid titties, and buy your ribbons.
Yeah. Get out of here, you stupid titties.
Stupid titties.
No, that was just a straight up fumble. So she goes back to the house and they're cooking up some dinners. And also Feyre is very artistic and nobody appreciates it. So she's been like painting out, like making the house pretty.
I don't know what with, like blood. What is she painting with?
No, I think she saves up. She says that she saves up a little bit of money for brushes and paints each year just to make sure that their life isn't totally disgusting.
Yeah, but the sisters don't give a shit.
Nobody gives a shit. So all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door. Is it a knock? There's an invasion.
He like blows it off the hinges, and it's like a growl. It's like, and a fucking beast just claws his way in there.
Oh my god!
This is like a weird cat dog sort of a situation.
Cat dog. All you see is fangs and claws.
I just wish this wouldn't have been a cat dog. I just wish he would have been like just a normal type of animal. It can be a lion, it can be a whatever, but just like name an animal. Don't make it a weird hybrid of the animal because like
it's a humanoid cat dog.
Yeah, humanoid cat dog doesn't do it for me.
With some saber-tooth lineage.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't like into it. I was like, oh, okay. But
no,
that's
I was
fine,
fine
I guess.
with it.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
He's golden haired all over.
Yes.
And he's like, who killed my friend? And she's like, me. I did.
I killed your friend. I volunteer as tribute. Take me away.
Yeah. She volunteers as tribute. So he's like, well, the penalty, according to the treaty, is a life for a life. And she's like...
There's a treaty between fairies and humans.
That's right.
You kill us, we kill you.
Yeah, all right. So she's like, listen, you scary-ass beast. Take me outside because I don't want to completely traumatize my family. And I don't want them to have to clean up my blood and gore, which is so conscientious.
If I were Feyre in this moment, I'd be like, all right... My last message to these two bitches is going to be like, you're going to have to clean my organs off this floor.
That's right.
So you don't like chopping wood? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Lick it up, assholes.
Lick it up, assholes.
But no, she's like, take me out to the garden so that I will fertilize the earth and not traumatize my sisters. And then he's like, he's like, I can also make sure that you dedicate your life to Prythian. Prythian is what it's called. Faytown.
Mm-hmm. Fairyville.
Yeah. Those are your options. I can either kill you dead right here, or you can live out the rest of your life in Prythian. And she's like, I mean, if I have to choose, I guess I'll choose the life in Fairyland.
Already, I was like, this treaty makes no sense. The treaty is, if you kill one of us, you have to live in our country forever. Yeah. That makes no kind of sense.
No.
It ends up being different than that, but I was just like, this treaty is stupid. Whoever was the author of this treaty is real dumb because it makes no kind of sense.
Here's another thing. Our heroine believes, because of, hundreds of years of legend, that fairies cannot lie. Mm-hmm. So she's like, oh, well, fuck. These are the only options in the treaty? And he's like, yeah, those are the only options. And she's like, oh, well, I know you can't lie, so I guess I'll have to go with you.
Right.
It's hilarious. So he pops her up on the most beautiful white stallion you've ever seen. And she asks him his name. She asks him a couple of questions, and he's just like, fuck you, magic sleep.
Yeah.
And it's great.
For the reader.
Yeah.
Just magic sleeps are... But I don't know. I felt like they could have bantered a little bit on the way there. I think
it was too soon. No. I think it was too soon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
You like the magic sleep.
I did, because I wouldn't have believed either of them if they were at all cordial.
No, I meant like a mean banter, like a fuck you back and forth sort of thing. I think I would have enjoyed like a witty, I hate you all the way there.
Yeah.
Like a fun
all
fight.
I'm saying is that I don't think I would be composed in that moment enough to even have a hate banter.
Fair. Okay. All right. So she magic sleeps all the way to the fairy wall.
Yeah. Actually, all the way past the fairy wall. She wakes up in Faytown. And they're like pulling up to his abode. And she's like, oh, shit, this is a little fancy. Like, this is interesting.
I shit, this is a little fancy.
Yeah, this is even nice than my old manor house. Golly. I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting dungeons and constant drivel and servitude and
yeah.
But he walks her right up in and he's like, I have a banquet waiting for us, so we should banquet now. And she's like, fuck you. I've heard about your enchanted foods. No. Yeah. You're not getting me anywhere near your wines.
Didn't he send her upstairs first? No, she sits down there and rags for a while, right?
Yeah. So she sits down there and she's like, I'm not fucking eating. He turns into Erin's favorite thing ever.
Oh,
he turns into...
Oh, God.
Guys, we know that Erin's basically, I think, the only hard limit other than breakfast and bath that we found out about Erin is masquerade mask.
Masquerade mask is so creepy.
Well, it turns out that Erin had to imagine our hero, our hot, sexy, golden-haired elf hero. No,
he's not
fairy
an elf,
hero.
He's a fairy.
Sorry. I went straight legless on that one.
Bae. Sorry.
Sorry.
Wearing a masquerade mask. First of all, my other hard limit is food in bed. We all know this.
Oh, I'm
Can't
sorry.
stain the
You're
sheets
so right.
with stuff.
Wait, no, I'm sorry.
Also,
unless you're eating in bed, you gross person.
No, but like, okay, with the Talia Hibbert, like chocolate.
Yeah, you're
in
like
bed,
stay
and then
in the kitchen or go to the shower.
Yeah, in the red when he flipped her over and like there was stuff on her back. And then also one of the episodes that we recorded for your maternity leave, there's another food situation that I could not deal with, but you weren't there for me that time.
I just want everyone to know, for the record, that Erin just classified semen as food because...
No, I did. I'm just like stuff. I just don't want like messy...
That's what happened in the red.
Messiness.
He came on her back and then flipped her over. And that got enmeshed into the food conversation.
Fair, but like, where are you going to sleep? Anything where you've messed up the bed to the level where it's like, well, now where do we sleep? Or do we just wait for the laundry? Or like, because in all of those situations, the people did not have spare sheets. That werewolf did not have spare sheets. There wasn't spare sheets for the bed in the gallery.
The last thing I want to do after I have multiple orgasms is change the sheets. Like, it's just not going to happen.
No, just do it somewhere else. Like, anyway, my other hard limit is masquerade masks, as we learned in Firelight and also the red. And in the red, I said that the creepiest color for a masquerade mask is fucking gold. It's so weird and gross. So this guy changes back into a man, and he's wearing a golden masquerade mask. And don't worry, guys. First of all, she's like, that's an odd choice. Then later on, she learns that it's glued to his fucking face.
Magically.
By a special magic curse.
Yeah.
And it's never going to come off.
And it's not just him, everybody. Mm-hmm. Every single fairy in her general vicinity is wearing a different kind of masquerade mask. And I will say that I don't find just the polite, sculpted masquerade mask to be upsetting. However, when you get into like the fox and bear and bird territory, I get a little eked out about it. And that's what every other underling is wearing. They're wearing like foxes and birds and horses. So it is a whole thing.
I don't find it to be offensive in like, I can go to a masquerade. I find it offensive in sexual context. Like I can... Or like just eating. Like if you were at Mardi Gras and you were wearing a masquerade mask, yes, that is appropriate. If you were at a masquerade ball and you were wearing that is appropriate attire. When you start just having dinner with me and you're just like nomming on a chicken leg, just talking in a masquerade mask, that's where it creeps me out.
I hear you.
Firelight.
Or if you're like trying to go down on someone, you know.
Oh my God. They didn't even mention like my face scraped over the emeralds on his mask as I tried to smooch him. Like they didn't talk about that at all. As he went down on me, the sharp edges of his golden masquerade mask lacerated my thighs. That was not part of this, you guys.
Well, I think that might be one of the reasons that the sex scenes, they were like the romance in this book is sparse but very, very good. The sex scenes in this book are like almost fade to black, in my humble opinion. Like, we know that I know not everybody's a Melody, and I'm a bit of a dirty bird.
It's YA.
It's YA?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, that changes everything.
I think it's pretty risque for YA too.
It is quite. Yeah. Although I would give it to a that's fine.
Not everyone's a melody.
Not everyone's a melody. Okay.
I would too, but yeah, I think it's technically YA. Okay, I'll make sure that that's true.
Here's what's happening. She's sitting down. He's like, you need to eat something. And she's in her mind being like, I know that you're trying to enslave me via your magic food. So there's no way. I'm so hungry I could fall over right now. But I've got much more willpower than Melody does. So I'm just sitting here. Then he's like, well, if you're not going to do that, then go upstairs and get changed and bath and, have a little bit of a relaxation. And she meets Lucien, who is his emissary, his royal emissary. And Lucien hates everything she stands for. Hates her. Yeah. Hates the horse she walked in on.
Wants her to be dead.
Oh, yeah. He's like, you killed my friend, which in hindsight is fucking rude, Lucien. Like, when we find out all, Lucien, get out of here. You are stupid.
Yeah. After we find out all at the end, I have no idea what Lucian's long game was here. I don't know what his... I don't get what he was trying to do, but we'll get there in probably about 2 hours.
No. So I purposefully did not take very good notes on this book because I know how I get, and this would be a 5-hour podcast because it's a very long book. All right. So she goes upstairs and her, like the head maid, like the lady who helps her do things, Alice, is there and helps her take a bath. She tries to get her into a dress. And Feyre is very much like, no, I will wear my old pants. And then they're like, listen, your pants disintegrated when we touched them.
Yeah. She tries to wash them and she comes back in and she's like, you want to wear this? And it's like a thread.
Because she's so poor.
Yeah.
So they get her a tunic and a nice pair of breeches. And she goes back downstairs and they do a lot of like exposition and like about what the new situation is. They're like, you're not a slave. You don't have to do anything for us.
You can live anywhere you want in here.
You can leave right now, although we would discourage you from doing that because everything here wants to kill you.
Yeah.
Not just because of the fact that you killed our friend, but also just because you're a tasty little snack in a not creepy straight guy saying that way. In an actual things will eat you kind of way.
Right. Yes.
You are the most delicious morsel. So don't do that. Yeah. So she's like, well, I hate you. But they pin her down like with magics so that she will eat. And they're like, I promise that we have not enchanted the food. It's just food and you need nourishment. And she's like, well, fairies can't lie. Although they're not lying at this point. But it's just every time.
She's like, I know they can't lie, so I will eat my food. Joke's on you, Feyre.
They can.
But she does eat her food and it's fine.
Yeah.
Then over the next couple days, there's so much world building. But basically,
so much world building.
The friend, Lucien, have we talked about how he has one eyeball? You did. You didn't.
No, I didn't. He's
got just the one eyeball.
Yeah,
and
he's
a fox
got
mask.
One natural eyeball.
Yeah.
And then this metal doohickey that's magicked.
Yeah. I don't know how she can tell when it's moving. She talks about how it moves independently in a Mad Eye Moody sort of way, and I don't know how she tells. Does it have markings on it, or you think it's flat?
It's gotta
like
have
gold?
Markings. Yeah.
You think it has like an eye is drawn on it?
Yeah, I imagine so.
I just thought it was like a flat eye. Like I don't know.
And that's less creepy to you, you weirdo?
No. Yes.
Like the gold shark eye is less creepy to you.
Yes, the gold shark eye is 100% less creepy to me than just like what? Just like you took a pen and you drew an eyeball on there? Woof.
Or a tasteful carving, you know?
No, flat is definitely less creepy, but I don't know how you'd know it was moving because she always talks about how it's moving, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, he kind of an asshole.
Some sort of accident that she hasn't asked about.
Yeah.
He's a super asshole. He makes it very clear that he wants her dead. But she's like, if anybody can get the ear of this guy to let me go, like back home, because she is dead set on continuing to be the caretaker of her family. She made a deathbed promise.
Yeah, to her mom.
To her mom that she would stay with them. And that was the interesting thing. She sort of rewrote the promise in her mind over the course of the book.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty funny because she was like, the mom was like, you have to stay together. And in her mind, that meant because she could already see the abilities and the natural personalities of her offspring. And she knew that the only way this family would survive is if Feyre took care of them.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I have to get back to my family because the one thing we have left in this dismal world is our word.
Yeah, but also she knows they'll starve to death without her because they're all useless as shit. But also her dad, as she was leaving, was like, never come back here. That was his little deathbed promise. She doesn't give any fucks about the promise she made to her dad, just her mom, who she super hated. I don't understand Feyre's whole thing in this.
Yeah.
I can understand needing to get back because she knows her family will starve to death. I don't understand her fixating on the promise part because she made the
Did she actually promise?
To her dad?
Yeah.
I thought she did.
I thought he just told her and she was like, yada, 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 gotta get on this mare.
I just thought that was like an implicit, like, sure.
Sure.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. She wants to get back. And so she's trying to like lay snares and like hide knives and figure out ways she can get out of there. But none of it's going to work. Don't worry, guys. So the next day.
Well, over the next like week, she keeps on going out on like quote unquote hunting missions when Lucien is on patrol. And her whole thing is, I want him to talk to Tamlin. FYI, our hero's name is Tamlin.
Yeah, hero Golden Masquerade Mask is named Tamlin.
Yeah, and I will say, this was not like a huge oversight on our part because the reader doesn't know his name until halfway through the banquet. Yeah. It's a long time. So anyway, she's like, I'm going to talk this guy. He hates me anyway. I'm going to talk him into getting Tamlin to let me go. Mm-hmm. And Lucian's like, joke's on you, human. First of all, I saw your ploy from a mile away. And second of all, of course I would get rid of you. I fucking hate you.
Right.
There's no way Tamlin's going to, there's no way out of the treaty, basically. So she's like, oh, fine. And there's a couple of moments where Tamlin seems a little bit territorial over her because before she goes out on the ride with Lucien the first time, he sort of tries to offer to show her around, and he's doing that. He's like trying to build a bridge between them a little bit. And she's like, nope, you scare me. Bye. Mm-hmm. And it's really great, actually. So, she always has to have dinner with them because there's very much a, you will dine with me tonight kind of
You will
vibe.
join me for dinner.
Yes.
Door slam.
Yeah, and then...
So the next thing is the cereal thing, right?
Yeah, so she walks up to Lucien, and she's like, listen, fucker, I want to talk to a cereal, because somebody had told her that there's... Oh, Lucien had told her.
I think it's Lucien.
Yeah. There's one breed of fairy that if you trap them, they have to answer your questions.
And they know everything.
And they know all the things. They're omniscient or something. Mm-hmm. So he's like, well, I guess if... I wouldn't want anybody to find out who told you how to do this. And she's like, never would I ever. So he's like, they really like chickens, especially when they're dead and bleeding. Mm-hmm. And I bet a snare could maybe do it. So she goes out on her onesie out to the western forest, which is just as ominous as it sounds.
Wait, but he also tells her, after she's done asking it questions, she's got to let it go and then run like hell and then run across water because it doesn't like crossing water. And he'll also be out there hunting that day. So she gets into trouble. She should scream and he might come after her. He might not. He hasn't decided.
Right. Which also, long game, Lucien. What
long game? I don't understand Lucien's motivations in this entire book.
No, me neither.
Until the end. I mean, not that the end makes me understand the beginning. Then. But the things he does at the end at least make sense.
Oh, totes. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Not at the beginning.
No. So she goes out, she traps this fucking cereal, and she does all the smart things that you would do about, tracing your steps to the water and blah, blah. And
sure.
The cereal's like, you can't get out of the treaty, but you need to stay by the high phase side because now we find out that not only is this guy hot and rich and whatever. He's the highest of the high fae. He's the nobility. He's one of the ruler. He's the ruler of the spring season, which is where they are. The spring part of Faytown.
The fairies have different kingdoms.
Faytowns.
There's the summer court. There's the spring one, the winter one, and what's the other season? Summertime. Autumn. And then, autumn. Yep.
And
there's that one. And then there's a night
dawn,
one.
A day, and a night court.
Yeah.
7 of them.
Yeah.
So...
We're in spring. Talon is the king of the spring one.
That's right. So she asks him all these questions, and he's basically like, you need to stick with your high fae who got you. You gotta, you gotta dance with the one who brung you for the rest of your life. Yeah. And she's like, fuck. And then all of a sudden, out of the goddamn trees come these black, I sort of pictured Venom as each of these guys.
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they come, there's 4 of them. And she's like, oh, shit. Meanwhile, the Suriel is still strung up on a tree.
Yeah.
And so the Suriel is like, I joked about eating you, but can you please free me? Because they'll do bad things. They'll keep me forever.
Mm-hmm.
So her first arrow is to free the Suriel because she is just that awesome kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she starts shooting arrows at the other dudes. And she's,
she's running.
Oh, fuck.
Run.
Cut by brambles.
She kills 2.
Yeah.
And she screams. Nobody comes. Lucian's not about it. And then
all of a sudden,
Tamlin the Beast.
Yeah.
This is the wolf scene from Beauty and the Beast, you guys. And he's like, run.
Yeah.
Noms on those. They're called Nagas. Noms
that's
them
the
up.
one. Yeah.
Gets her and saves her.
Yeah.
Period. The
She's
end.
bleeding a little bit or something. He's probably bleeding a little bit. They go back to the house and...
That's it. But then the next day, so he's pretty pissed she went and got the Suriel, but she doesn't tell him it was Lucian. But then she tells her maid, Alice, that Lucian told her how to do the Suriel. And Alice says...
Alice figures it out. Alice is
whatever.
dummy.
I don't know. This is such a long book, Melody.
I know.
Anyway, somehow Alice figures it out. And then she's like, oh, by the way, Lucian told you one way to get a Suriel, but just so you know, if you just would have given it a new cloak, it would have like talked to you normally and like
it would have been
friend.
Nice to you. It would have told you everything. And she's like,
the way
God
Lucian
damn
told
it.
you probably would have died. So like he set her up. And also he was out there hunting that day. He straight tells her he was out there hunting that day. He heard her scream and he was like, ah!
And he hesitated.
Yeah.
Ugh, what a dick nose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still really love Lucian.
I love Lucian too. I just don't understand his choices.
No, his choices make no sense. Okay, so a few things happen. They may be out of order as we tell them because honestly, it doesn't super matter.
It doesn't matter.
Just know that throughout all this time, Tamlin is attempting in a very awkward way to connect with her. And she's very like, you're terrifying. And also, you're a high fae, which is the mostest of the faes.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of don't know what to do with that. So she's always kind of knocking him back and knocking him down.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, there's a terrible thing out in the woods and he's trying to find it because he's the only one who can kill it.
Mm-hmm.
One point, he finally kills it. He comes home and he's bleeding. And so she bandages him.
Yeah.
And it's a really sweet scene.
She runs into it first, though, and it's real scary.
Yeah, totes.
But we'll skip over that.
Yeah,
that's
totes.
fine.
So then the next thing that happens.
Very cute. She bandages him up.
Yeah. And then he's like, I want to thank you for bandaging me by doing something nice for you. And she's like, nope, rather be alone today. Bye.
Bye.
There's another point when she thinks she sees her dad in the woods. And so she goes to follow him. And then Tamlin comes and he's like, you dummy. That's a mirage used by a fairy that would take you out in the woods and kill you slowly. So stop that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then another point, they go out. Ooh, he and Lucian and she go out a-walking on a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And they come to this pool of starlight. And it's actual starlight.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh gosh, I can't remember if this is before or after the injured fairy with the wings.
I don't know either. Anyway, they kind of skinny dip a little bit in the starlight.
Yeah,
it's
they
nice.
do. And he says that if she gives him a kiss, he'll take off like the sort of magic blinders that he's put on her so that she can better see their world. Because he's been sort of,
that's
that
like
happens
way later in the book.
Oh, I
that's
thought
like way super later.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so they skinny dip in some starlight and they talk about the forest and stuff. And he wants to know how she like cared for her family and he wants to know all about her.
Mm-hmm.
And then
she really wants paints and he gets her paints so she can paint.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. And he shows her the gallery, which is kind of like a library scene, you may remember. Also, there is a library and she goes there and she tries to figure out how to write a letter to her family, but she can't read. That's important. So she tries to figure out how to read and it doesn't work. And he kind of like makes fun of her a little bit. At least she perceives, but really he's trying to help her. So there's that.
He just offers to help her write a letter. And she's like, get away from me and my defective brain, you arrogant fairy.
Yeah.
She's so, I mean, I understand being self-conscious about it because at another point in the book, he calls it a shortcoming.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that by being like, why would I judge you for a shortcoming that's not your fault?
Right.
Somebody should have taught you to read. I know that your parents were educated. And during this letter writing scene, she finds out that magic is being messed with in Feytown.
Right.
And Prithian and everybody, like the reason that they're stuck in masquerade masks is because they say it was like this surge of a blight and they can't break the curse. So she's like, does this blight, is it going to endanger my family? And they're like, yeah, actually it might.
It definitely is.
Right. So that's why she's trying to write this letter. So anyway,
he tells her that he's taking care of her family. Like he's basically given them money, convinced them that she's off visiting an aunt, wiped their memory of that night, and don't worry about it. And they also know once any sign of that blight comes, they know to kind of like leave. He kind of put that hint in their brain of like, if you get any mention of this, leave. And so he's like, I've taken care of your family. You're good. So that kind of warms her to him.
Well, and it also makes it less important for her to try to escape. Right. And so she's like, and this is before she finds out that they can lie. And so she's like,
she's like,
they can't lie. So great. Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And then one night she's awoken by this terrible screeching and she runs downstairs and there's this really injured blue fairy. And he's like got stumps, like bloody stumps on his back. And the stumps are bleeding and they can't get them to stop. Like they won't coagulate. And so he's sitting with her and he's like, this fairy's going to die.
The fairy just keeps saying, she took my wings, she took my wings, she took my wings. And at some point when they figure out how much blood he's lost, Tamlin kind of backs off and is like, there's nothing we can do here. He doesn't say that, but she understands from the way that he kind of stops helping this fairy. So she gets down and starts like talking, holds the fairy's hand, starts talking to him and is like, it's okay. It's okay. And he's like, she took my wings. And she's like, yeah, but it's okay. You're going to get them back. Yeah. And he's like, do you promise I'm going to get them back? And she's like, yeah. And then he dies. And this is very touching to Tamlin because...
And to me, too.
Because she hates fairies. So why would she give a shit? So all this stuff happens that's like both world building and also building between them.
Relationship building,
Right. And it's a very long book. I'm sorry, guys, that this is kind of like just a scatter shot. But okay. So one night, it changes between the two of them. Is that the dead fairy night?
Oh,
I don't
know. It's the solstice night.
No, it's like, it's before that where he just kind of like, he just like gives her like a nuzzle or like, I think he kisses her hand or something like that. And then she's like, all of a sudden, like, she thinks he's handsome.
Oh.
I don't know when it is, but let's move on. Okay. So there's going to be
all I remember is the neck bite.
Okay. Big Faerie Party. Big Faerie Party is called, I think, Calamari. Big Fairy Calamari.
Calamari. Calamari.
They're
Calamari Party, everybody.
Eat up some squids, and it's going to be delicious.
Yeah,
hopefully
it's
they're fried.
Summer solstice or spring solstice.
Nom. Hopefully they got some aiolis to dip this calamari in.
Marineras.
It's going to be real good. But basically, everybody's preparing. They're decorating stuff. They've got drums out. They've got foods out. They've got fiddles out. And she's like, I want to go to the big calamari party. And everybody's like, no, you can't come to
you
calamari
expressly
party.
not invited.
You're not invited.
You will
have to stay in your room all night. And she's like, harumph. And for like the weeks leading up to this, she's like, harumph. And even that day, he comes out and he's wearing fancy pants and no shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Masquerade mask. I just want to emphasize. And then a sword. And he's like, just want to make sure you're staying in your room. Right, Feyre? Right. And she's like, I want to come to the calamari party. And he's like, no, you can't.
I love the fried squids.
Yeah. And she's like, the drums and the music sounds great. And there's bonfires and stuff.
And he's like, I'm not going to be myself tonight. You can't come.
You will get straight murdered tonight. And then he leaves.
Well, and he sort of explains that fairies have free roam during this night. And so
there's going to be other kind of fairies hanging out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then she's like, I really want to go get me some calamaris. So this
is one of those moments where I finally understood your frustration during book 1 of Outlander, because you were always like, Claire, shut your mouth. They can actually beat you legally.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. You
Claire,
can't
stop
do that.
doing everything you're doing, Claire. Lay
In
low.
Highlander times, you have to stop it. And this is one of those times where I was like, Feyre, stay in your room.
Because she doesn't really have a great justification. Claire, at least, it was always like, they're torturing a person.
Totally.
A child is about to get slaughtered. Feyre was just like, those drums sound fun.
Well,
that music sounds great.
I wondered if later on it was because she has like a fated connection to the fairy realm or whatever, because it does almost sound like she's hypnotized into doing something incredibly stupid. But
she just loves these drums, you guys.
She's entranced by these drums and she has to go find them. So she gets herself a horse and she trots on out there. She's hoping that the smoke and the bonfires and everything is going to mask her delectable human scent, which, like, of course it's not, Feyre.
No,
you're the only human.
No.
So everybody's like a zombie in front of this cave and they're waiting for something to happen. And then, lo and behold, Feyre decides that she's just going to go a little bit off the beaten path, away from the big crowd.
Yeah. And guess who's fixing to get raped by 3 fairies? Feyre.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
And then eaten.
Yeah. First raped and then eaten by 3 fairies. And then,
oh boy,
out of the shadows
comes a dark, mysterious, non-mask wearing,
beautiful man. Yes, can we just say non-mask wearing fairy man who looks like the knight, and he's just like, he's the most handsome man she's ever seen. He's got swagger, you guys, like the way he walks and he saunters up to her.
He
he's like,
swags so hard. He swags in every direction.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
And he's like, hey, 3 rapist fairies, scram.
Get the fuck out of here.
And then he's like, sup, human, why you out here on Calamari night? And she's like,
did you get you some squids?
Yeah.
I hope so.
She's like,
because you gotta go home.
I was here with a friend, but like she went to get drinks. Like she comes
so
up
bad
with
at
the
this.
dumbest story. She's like, yeah, I was here with my girlfriends, and he's like, yeah, I don't know a lot of humans that are like girlfriends with fairies. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, we've known each other for like a long time.
It's been a minute, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, well, I can escort you back to wherever you need to go so that you don't get eaten and raped by more fairies. And she's like, no, because you seem dangerous yourself, very handsome. So that's probably a reason why I need to get away from you.
Danger because I just want you to put it in me, maybe.
Yeah. All of us did. And then
all of us did.
He was like, all right, well, enjoy the party, stay safe. And she's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. And then Lucian runs into her, and Lucian's like, holy fuck, you gotta go.
Yeah, and
so he whisks her
potatoes.
back to her house.
Yeah.
And then she leaves her goddamn room again.
Well, so no, Lucian even fucking tells her. She leaves her room.
Right.
She leaves her room for reasons.
Yeah,
so Lucian is like, here's what happens on Calamari night. It's not just about squids.
No.
Here's what is going on. There's a ritual where High King Fairy of the Spring, whatever. This is the first day of spring, so this is a spring
and
fling.
they have to rejuvenate the land.
Yeah, so this is
with their bodies.
Yeah, this is spring fling. This is prom night for Springtime King, and he's got to he's got to rejuvenate the power. And so what happens is he does some kind of thing where he goes, all the magic surges through him, and he becomes feral fairy, and he's got to go find a lady.
Well, no, first he has to go kill a doe or something, or a stag.
Okay, so I wrote in here, does he do this?
I think he does it covered in blood.
Okay, so he goes and kills something, then he's got to go mate with somebody, and he does it purely by scent and instinct. And then he goes and has sex with her in a cave. And my note was, as a beast or as a masquerade man asking for me?
Not for friends.
What do you think?
I think he kills as beast, fucks as masquerade man.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
So Lucian is basically like, he's going to smell you and he's going to go crazy because you were out here and you need to stay in your room because he will come back to the house and hunt you down and do sex on you. And at this point, Feyre's a little bit like, okay.
Huh. I probably would hate that. Maybe.
Yeah, and also, like, there's a lot of fancy fairy ladies out there, so sounds like he's kind of into me, even though there's a lot of fancy fairy ladies out there, and she's excited about that.
Yeah. So then she leaves her room because she's like, you know what I am right now? I'm so hungry. I had a big banquet feast before, but I am hungry now.
So hungry. So I just want to wander the palace for a little bit to just see if there's any horny fairies around.
I'm just gonna put on my silkiest robe
yes.
and head down to the kitchenses.
We see you, Feyre. We see you.
So she gets herself some bread and some cheese, and then all of a sudden, Tamlin is in the doorway, and he's got his eyeballs on her, and he's smoldering through his gold masquerade mask. And he pins her up against the wall, and he's like, I smelled you everywhere. I scented you, and I tried to find you, and it drove me crazy until finally
I had to give up and do some other fairy.
Yeah, one of these other fairy ladies was like, do me and don't be gentle. And he literally says, I would have been gentle with you, and I would have taken my time. I would have had you moaning my name, and I would have just made it last. And she's like, "Oh,
I was all about it.
Me
Feyre
too."
was also all about it.
Yeah, it was hot, and I love this about her because she's like, "Why would I want somebody else's leftovers?" And he's like, "Push her up against the wall, claws into the mortar,
literal claws in wall,
literal claws in wall." And then he bites the shit out of her neck. Not to draw blood, not to break
bites
skin.
it, but then also smooches it. Bite,
and
smooch.
then he starts
smooch,
licking up on it, smooching
it's good.
it.
She's all about it.
She's grinding her pelvis against his pelvis. He's licking in the and it's delightful.
Yep.
And then he like chuckles and walks away.
Yeah, and she hates it. She gets zero sleep that night. She is all amped up. Nowhere to go.
Nobody would sleep.
That next breakfast morning is a little bit awkward for everybody.
Oh, no. That next breakfast morning is just awkward for Lucien.
Fair. All right. So they have breakfast, noontime breakfast.
Yeah. And they're like not subtle.
She puts on this tunic to show off her bruise. There's no Twilight, let's cover up our bruises with makeup. She's all about it. No. She's like, if he's gonna sneak up into this palace and bite me on the neck, everybody's gonna see it. So she goes down to breakfast, bruise on display, and Lucian's kind of like, where'd you get that bruise? And she's like, oh, from where Tamlin bit the shit out of me last night. And Tamlin's like, all right, listen, I told you to stay in your room. So if you're not going to stay in your room, if I want to smooch and bite you, them's the rules, Feyre.
I wasn't myself, motherfucker.
If you don't want nobody to bite on your neck, stay in your fucking room.
Yeah. Lock the door, asshole.
It was cute.
It was adorable.
So, okay, fast forward. Herbs. Now it's the summer solstice. I'm sorry, I don't care. She does a lot of painting. I think this is where she shows him her paintings in between there.
Probably,
there's a lot of stuff. It's a lot, you guys.
It's cool because she paints him the starlight pond, and he's like, actually, I want the one of the desolate woods from your home.
From where you're from. And he says that he has never known another person that understands the burden of taking care of others at the expense of yourself like she does. And that's the connection he feels with her, and that's why he wants that painting. It was very sweet.
It was really sweet, especially since that calls to a lot of her own inner monologue from earlier where she was like, I thought this mattered to him. Apparently it didn't.
Right.
And it totally did the whole time. He was just, he just had other things to do.
Which is, again, ridiculous. Where are your motivations, Tamlin?
Yes.
All of your energy should be focused on this person. I don't understand after we know all. Anyway, okay. All right. So it is now the summer solstice. Her lady, Alice, puts her up in a nice cornflower blue dress. It's super great. She's got her hair down. She's got flowers in it.
There are maypoles everywhere.
Yep. It's like she's all that. She comes down the stairs. Tamlin is Freddie Prinze Jr. And he's like, damn, girl. And Lucian's like, she looks like a fairy. And he's like, yeah, she does. So they go summer solsticing.
And it's fun.
Which is just a party. He doesn't have to beast out and have sex with anybody at this point. No. Well, maybe.
Of his own volition. Like, he's not cosmically having to fuck someone. So she drinks some wine that she's warned not to.
Lucian is like, do not drink that wine. And she's like, I'm going to drink the
glug,
wine.
Glug, glug, glug,
you're
motherfucker.
such an idiot. What a dummy.
I love it. I would probably do the same thing. So she starts dancing her face off and she finds fiddle player Tamlin.
God, I just imagined you in this situation and you're completely 100% right. You would have just chugged that one. I can imagine you dancing all over this place.
Oh, yeah.
I would have been like, oh, I'm not supposed to drink. Okay. And then I would have just stood
that
there.
wine. And then I would probably be dancing tits out.
I know. That's why I had to pause the podcast and be like, oh, you know what? You're right.
Yeah. Goddamn flower garland on my mermaid hair.
Yep,
yeah. Sweating my balls off. Unapologetically. Just rivulets of sweat all down my body and not giving a shit.
Whereas I'm yeah, you're right. I won't drink the wine. Anyway, would anyone like to engage in conversation?
Okay, so after the set's over, he's like, I want to show you something even cooler.
But first, Tamlin's playing the fiddle and he's real good at it.
That's
she
what
watches
I said.
him. No. Oh, I was talking probably at the same time.
Sorry. Player Tamlin.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but you know what? Wait, you do make a good point because now he's shown her hot beast Tamlin. He's shown her conscientious ruler Tamlin. And then with his fiddle nonsense, he shows her objectively talented Tamlin.
Mm-hmm. And passionate. He's having such a good time.
And he loves watching her dance tits out. Her tits aren't out. That's just the way I would do it.
No, yeah, I know. You know what he hasn't shown her?
His penis?
I have two things.
Okay.
Well, three if you count his penis.
Three.
What I was going to say was like Lord of the Night that's trying to do the right thing, but he doesn't know how.
No, Tamlin doesn't have that in him.
But also the other half of his face. Keep in mind, everyone. This whole time, gold masquerade mask with emeralds all over it.
Yep. Okay. So he takes her over to watch some other kind of fairies dance in a field. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool. And then they start dancing together and it's really cute. And then he's like, I think I want to kiss you. And she's like, then do it.
Do it.
And she's super surprised by her own boldness.
And he does it real gentle, like.
Real gentle. And then
she's like, that's all you got?
Yeah.
And then he smooches her good.
Oh boy, does he do it fiercely.
Like a beast.
Like the beast inside him.
And it's not in the text, but her face becomes sliced to shit by the emeralds and sharp edges of his masquerade mask.
But then he magically heals her. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So then they go back to the house, and the next morning at breakfast, this is when Tamlin's like, he's like, oh, are things a little weird for you? And she's like, well, if I could face you the morning after you bit my neck, a little kiss is nothing. And he's like, nothing? And she's like, nothing.
And Lucian's like, murder me nothing. Now. Lucian's like, why are we here? Why are we the only two fairies in this house where I have to have breakfast with these disgusting people? And again, Lucian, where are your motivations? Right? Lock it up. Lock it up.
Just quietly leave the room, Lucian.
Let it happen.
Yeah, let him put her right on that table.
Earlier in the book, she put on like a slinky silvery gown. Or is that later? That's after this. No, that's before. No, that's between Bruise. Really I think that's between Bruise and Smooches. She puts on a sparkle dress and comes downstairs and she's like, look at me in my sparkle dress. Right. And Lucian's like, I have somewhere very important to be, and like just fucks off, which good job, Lucian. Yeah. First good choice of the book.
That's the way you should be doing. Yeah. So, okay. So basically, they are together now. They're dating. It's really cute. They're going on walks. She's knowing that she really loves him. When he goes out to fight things, she worries about when he comes back. It's a whole thing.
Everybody's in love now.
Yeah. And then, at her. At some point, another fairy beast arrives. Mm-hmm. And she overhears a conversation.
It's cryptic as shit.
Yeah, there are two conversations in which she hears somebody reference the fact that Tamlin, for being a person with a heart of stone, he is
something.
Yeah. Or he's real something else.
Yeah.
Those are two important things.
And several conversations she's overheard that like a mysterious she or her is doing shit. Like that fairy that died with its wings cut off. Like, she took my wings. And they're like, why is she dropping her dirty laundry out on our, So anyway, the adder's talking about like she this and she that, and she's going to destroy you and blah,
and
blah,
she's
blah.
not pleased and blah.
Yeah. But.
And then all of a sudden they're having some dinner.
Oh, hello.
and our favorite night prince arrives.
Lord of the night, the sexy night prince.
You know what? If he was in, what are those called? Like the Aladdin pants.
What?
Even if he was wearing those kind of pants, I would still find him so sexy.
I was like, do not ruin this shit. I don't know what he's wearing.
He's wearing a cape that's black to the point that light doesn't seem to even reflect off of it.
Fair. Okay.
Like,
yeah.
it is
but whatever it is, you
hot.
guys, is tailored. It's very tailored. It's very nighttime.
There is brocade involved that I do not hate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is delicious. And so he walks in and he's like, I'm Rhysand. I'm Lord of the Night Court.
They hide her magically behind Lucian, so that he can't see her. Okay.
Yeah. They magically obscure her.
Mm-hmm.
They have this whole talk about how this mysterious she needs something else. And they're like, you're the Blight's whore.
Yeah. They talk about how he's her like whore. Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically he's sold out
Jezebel.
to whoever this she is, and like Tamlin has not. That's what you need to know. And
That's
also
right.
this guy's super dangerous and like definitely threatens to murder Tamlin, and Tamlin's very like, oh shit. So this is somebody who's like more powerful than Tamlin is. Then all of a sudden
he notices that there are 3 plates, not just 2. And he's like, you dare to obscure her from me? And he's like, oh, hey girl, I saved you. Hi.
Hi, I remember you.
Yeah, it's really nice to see you. That's what I think he says. But really, he reaches into her brain parts with his mind.
His claws, his talony claws. She can feel them scraping across her brain.
Yeah, his mental claws. And he's like, oh, Tamlin, why does this... Oh, because Lucian says, that's my betrothed. And he's like, oh, Lucian, you're quite the cuckold then, because she's been thinking about Tamlin's hard body pressing up against her.
All of her fantasies out loud. It's so embarrassing, but it's also so great. He's like, oh yeah, one time you bit her on the neck and she totally thought about what that would feel like on her boobs.
Her breast.
It was funny.
I'm into it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, tell me everything. Question me.
If in this moment, Tamlin had just said, hey, this is the chick. This is the chick I'm trying to do the thing with.
Right.
Do you think that any of this shit would have gone astray if Tamlin would have just been honest with Rhysand in this moment and been like, yeah, you know that thing I've been trying to have done for 49 years? This is it. So fuck off and maybe we can get a chance to be okay.
Well, first of all, that wouldn't make any sense because he doesn't know that Rhysand hates this lady. Second of
also,
all,
like, don't you think that, okay, so fairies are very specific in their bargains, right?
Yeah.
And she, the big her, I feel like she wouldn't be able to just swoop in and mutilate any woman he was trying to do this with, right? Like, that can't be part of it. They have to allow him to do the thing.
Oh, okay. Because I would have thought that, like, that would give Rhysand reason to just, like, murder her brain right there.
That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, totally.
They would just do that with every woman that came in. Like, that's the whole thing, is that he can't do this, and this is a challenge that she's laid upon him. So
you're right.
if she doesn't allow him to do it, I think Tamlin's best move here would have been just like, yeah, this is the chick, Rhys. Like, lay off.
Well, but also, he can't say anything in front of her because she can't know about the schmata.
I think just a pointed wink would have been good.
Fair.
I mean, I know it's hard behind a masquerade mask again, but...
But, okay, but also, Tamlin's kind of dumb.
He is. That's the problem.
Yeah, like, that's the overarching problem, is that Tamlin is kind of dumb.
There's a lot of dumb Tamlin and Lucian things that happen.
Oh, man.
I think season fairies are dumber than the day, night, dawn sort of fairies.
I think everybody is just dumber than Rhys.
He's so smart, you guys.
He's so swoony. Okay. So Rhys fucks off, and then Tamlin is like...
Wait, no. Importantly, he says, what's your name? To Feyre. And she says...
Claire Bennett.
Connie Britton? Fair.
Fair, I don't know what it actually is.
True.
Yep. It's something like that, though.
Nope, yep.
And so he's like, all right, see you guys never. And he leaves. So then she goes up to her room. Like, everybody leaves because Tamlin is fuming. And he tears apart his dining room in a very frustrated manner. And then afterwards, he comes up to her room and he's like, you have to go home. And he sits down on her bed. And she's like, but I want to stay with you. Did I do something wrong? And I'm like, no, bitch. Did you not just get brain assaulted?
You were perfect. You were so perfect.
You were. And he's like, I just can't put you in any more danger. And then she's like, I need you to kiss my whole face. And he's like, you got to go home in the morning. And she's like, well, then we better make tonight count. And he smooches on her. And then she jumps up onto his lap. And then she pushes him on the bed. And then we get a perfectly reasonable, euphemistic sex scene.
Yes, but there's one thing in here where I could not.
I need you to tell me everything.
It is so he's smooching on her boobs, and then he goes lower and he's scratching his talon. He uses talons, you guys, on her hips, but like gently. And then he, quote, feasts on her.
Oh, yeah.
Until she's like, all about it. But like, feasts on her is the only description of oral sex we get, and that is horrifying to me, especially when it is a literal beast that's just like like that. What I imagine is just like, because his canines are all over the place all the time in this book, and just like
yeah, and he's always hissing. Actually, everybody's always hissing.
Yeah, and growling.
Well, and then she starts coming, and then he roared and went with her. So yeah, the beast plus feast is a little unsettling.
I get this guy roaring a lot more than I get Highlander dude roaring every time he comes, so that's fine by me.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I'm just saying that there's a lot of like,
I hated the word feast in that moment. It totally took me out of it, and I was just like, oh my god, he's eating her vagina up. Yeah. Anyway.
She's bleeding, maybe.
Yeah. So they go to sleep. They wake up. And they do it again.
He tells her that he loves her that night.
Yes. And she thinks she may have dreamed it.
Yeah. Aww. Yeah. And then she wakes up. He's gone.
Yes.
She's all packed. They've got a metric fuck ton of things for her. And Alice like hugs her and sends her back down. So she's getting into the carriage. And she's like, this isn't forever, right? I need to come back to you. And he's like, no, it's not forever. Which also, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's 100% forever.
This doesn't make any sense.
Oh, the fact that he has her leave right now?
Yeah, not to mention.
Yeah, 100%.
This doesn't make any sense. The fact that he doesn't like try a tiny bit harder with the whole I love you thing. Just try
a little bit harder. You got 3 more days, my man. 3 days is a lot. After you've said I love you to her, to get her to say I love you back. You guys, spoiler alert, she needs to love him to break the curse. Of course, this is Beauty and the Beast. So we need 3 more days. We have 3 more days.
And it's not even that she needs to love him, because she loves him right now. And she says that as the carriage is like clopping away. He has said I love you. And she's like, I don't know what held me back, because I do love him. But I just can't give that to him right now.
And he's like, well, bye, while she's still considering whether to say it. And Lucian's over there like, hey, man, don't you think maybe wink a couple more days? Wink, wink. Might be a good idea. Wink. And Tamlin's like, nope.
Wink with one eye. The other eye is just circling maniacally. Just in every direction. The bad eye, moody eye is just going nuts. Because Lucian can't figure his life out.
But can we take a moment now, knowing this? Yeah. Knowing that 3 days after this is when the whole kingdom is going, everyone's going to die because he couldn't get a human woman to love him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Lucian trying to kill her for the first half of this book.
Yeah.
And also trying to like push them apart. Oh, after the thing. So there is a thing where he like shows her what a fairy sees in exchange for a kiss. And then the next morning, like Lucian makes fun of them being like, well, are you going to kiss me if I offer you the moon on a string? Har, har, har. He's like trying to push them apart the whole time. What are you doing, Lucian?
Yeah. Okay. So just
you live
to
in
be
this
fully
kingdom?
Transparent, you guys, there's this fucking HBIC. She has come in. She has usurped power from a bunch of the lords. Her name is Amarantha. And she is just as fuck off as her name is. Like, she is not playing.
No.
So she was really in love with Tamlin. And she wanted Tamlin to, like, be her right-hand bro and bed playmate.
Yeah.
And
Tamlin wouldn't do it.
Tamlin wasn't into it.
And he said to her, I would rather marry a human before I married you. And she had this whole thing where her sister tried to marry a human and then chose that human instead of her. So that especially pissed her off.
And then the human killed her sister.
Yeah. And then she killed that human and made a ring out of his eyeball and imprisoned his soul in it. It's a lot, you guys. But the bottom line here is she's like, oh, really? You'd rather marry a human instead of me? All right, let's see. You get a human, and there's a lot of ridiculous and confusing caveats here, so buckle up.
Yeah.
You must find a human that has killed a fairy because
out of hatred in their
unprovoked, because of pure hatred. Which I don't know if Feyre even fits because she did it out of pure I am hungry for this dough, but whatever. I mean,
But she also knew that it was a fairy. She also does hate
I
fairies.
felt like she wasn't sure it was a fairy.
No. She wasn't sure, but she also knew the consequences if it was a fairy.
Sure,
and she was like,
fairies.
fuck everyone.
I'm
going to kill this fairy. And she used an ash arrow just in case.
Yeah.
Because the ash arrow will only kill fairies.
But it wasn't like she went out fairy murdering, which seemed to be what the curse wanted.
She wasn't a fairy huntress.
Right. So anyway, and then you got to bring that human back to Fairy Town. And then you've got to get her to fall in love with you. And then she has to say, I love you out loud. It can't just be
in her heart.
Feeling. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then also, just to add insult to injury, I'm going to glue a masquerade mask on you and also everybody you know.
And make you the creepiest motherfucker you've ever seen.
Just to add a little bit of a challenge in there because it's hard for humans to fall in love with people wearing masquerade masks because it's inherently creepy to human women like me. Is that all?
That's basically
and she
all.
gave him 49 years to do this, and he didn't get on it until year 48 and a half.
Yeah.
And still, Lucian's like, fuck this, I'm gonna murder her. I don't know why.
Not to mention that, like, Lucian was in on the plot the whole time.
Oh, yeah,
He's been sending his sentries out to, like, just to get murder bait.
Yeah.
And then when this lady does murder one, he's like, how fucking dare you? Instead of being like, hey, Tamlin, fuck you for doing that. He was on orders. Like, you sent him out to the slaughter.
That's why this wolf didn't put up a fight. He knew that he was the sacrifice to get... And also, this bitch carved out Lucian's eye. She's the one that did that to Lucian.
That's the one. Yeah.
He should hate her way more. And you guys, there's no treaty. That was completely made up. Fairies lie all the time. It's like their favorite thing.
Constantly. It's a work of art to them.
All right. So anyway, so that's why the 3-day thing is fucking ridiculous. Why
it
not
doesn't
just
make any sense.
Because if
Amarantha.
Yeah, if she comes and she's like, I'm gonna murder you dead, Tamlin. I'm gonna murder everybody in this kingdom. Don't you think that Feyre would have been like, no, Tamlin,
I love him.
I love you. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, I do think that she would have shown up past the deadline just to be safe.
Fair. I don't know. Anyway, he doesn't take these 3 days. He sends her home in a human dress that everybody hates.
He only he tells her that he loves her when she's half asleep one time after what I hope was good sex. I'm certainly not sure of it. And then the next time he tells her as he's sending her away after she's begged to stay with him.
You know what would have been maybe like prudent? Saying, do you love me back?
Yeah.
I don't know. So she goes home. Her family's in a big old mansion. They've been glamored by fairies. And she spent, it's weeks, and they pass herbs. Except she finds out that Nesta never got glamored. She was just pissed the whole time. Which I really liked.
And Nesta, because she's the baddest bitch. Like, she's the worst.
And she tried to go get her, too. She tried to go into Fairyland and try to save her.
Yeah, it didn't work.
And the woodcutter wouldn't come with her, so she told Woodcutter's son to fuck off.
Yeah. Then she finds out that this Claire Bennett girl, or whatever her name was,
Connie Britton, I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, Connie Britton.
That was her name.
Connie Britton gets super murdered along with all of her family, and the whole estate is burnt to a crisp. And so she's like, "Oh my god!" Amarantha knows. She knows she was looking for me.
Yeah,
she got this lady. I have murdered her by proxy.
Mm-hmm.
And so she gets in a carriage. She's going back to Feytown.
Yeah.
She's going to go figure out what the fuck has gone awry.
Mm-hmm.
And gets there. The castle is totally empty. Everybody's all gone except for Alice. Alice tells her the whole thing about the curse, about the plan, about her need to say, I love you. And then she's like, well, I got to go get him then. I got to save the day.
Do you think it's weird that the whole time Alice is telling her this, she's packing her a thing of like food and like
she's
knives and
herself
shit.
A thing of food.
Oh, I thought
she's
going to
go get her.
She
nephews.
refuses to take her into. Oh, okay.
She's going to go get her nephews. Yeah.
No, yeah. I thought that was for.
No, she's
Feyre.
packing her own go bag.
Because she packed this shit and then she's like, oh, by the way, it's right over there and your knives don't mean anything. And I'm like, well, why'd you pack this big bag? Anyway, okay, never mind. So she takes her to the place.
Yeah, she decides to take her to the place and she tells her, do not drink any wine you see here and do not make any bargains.
Right.
And spoiler alert, Feyre doesn't listen to nobody.
She both does drink the wine and make bargains. But
Feyre,
you guys,
don't listen to nobody.
But listen, no, I'm behind it this time because she did it for the sexiness of all of us. She did it so that we can, I hope, read about that sexy Night King and his sexiness.
God, I hope so. After like a week of lap dances, I hope so too.
100%.
God, I need it. I need it so badly. Yeah. So, okay, here's what happens. She shows up. She immediately gets busted and taken to the foot of the throne of Amarantha and her love, her long lost love, who's sitting there at her side. And Amarantha's like, oh, I murdered and tortured that bitch.
And she's straight up, her skin is pinned up on the wall. Poor Connie Britton is like flayed and like burned and she's just like nailed up there. And
her hair still looks amazing. Like, I don't know how Connie Britton does it. But it's perfectly curled. It's that beautiful russet strawberry blonde situation. Like, just gorgeous. Anyway.
So Feyre's down there. She's looking up at Tamlin. He doesn't even react to her being thrown. So she thinks that he's under some kind of like a spell.
But also, this is the only time Tamlin has been smart. He will not react.
Yeah, I understand why Feyre is like, it must be a spell, because there's no way he thought of this idea himself.
It's so true. Meanwhile, I do love Tamlin. He's great. So anyway.
She's like, I came here because I loves Tamlin. And she's like, maybe that'll work. It doesn't. That's stupid of her to think.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's way too late now. And she's like, oh, how interesting. And so
Amarantha
decides that she's going to give her a chance to. Oh, this is so stupid.
If she gets through 3 quests, if she gets through 3 challenges, then the spell is broken-ish. And then she also says, like, each quest is going to happen on the new moon, so she's got a month to recover in between.
Yeah.
Or she's going to give her a riddle, and if
she can shout out the answer to this riddle anytime, and it's over, and everybody's free. She gets a smoochy friend.
Yeah. And so she gives her this riddle. You guys, it is the most straightforward riddle I've ever heard in my life.
Riddle. I read the first 3 stanzas and I was like, death. And then I read the 4th stanza and I was like, oh, love. And that is the answer to the riddle.
Yes. So
Feyre,
she gives her these options.
Riddles are not her strong point.
You know what? It's okay. Not everybody's brain works like that. I am not as good with a bow as our Feyre is.
Sure.
So everybody has their strengths. Well, and also in that situation, because the whole thing is, if you shout out any wrong answer, everybody dies immediately. So like, you have to be so super sure, and I can see myself working myself into a frenzy.
But before that last challenge, when she's about to do the thing that is the last challenge, wouldn't you have taken a guess? Maybe
just a shot at it.
Anyway, challenge. She gets thrown in a dungeon. Challenge number 1 is go up in these muddy trenches and kill this worm.
The craziest worm. What is that movie? It's an amazing movie with Kevin Bacon, and it's in like the 1970s or 80s. Yep. God damn it.
Dune?
Tremors.
Beetlejuice. Oh, Tremors.
It's this fuck off. Like, if you cross the Tremors worm with Jabba the Hutt worm, plus even more scary stuff, that's the worm she's fighting.
Yeah. Guys, it's a good scene.
It is really good.
Yeah, she escapes this worm.
Great.
Partially because, and there's bets made on if she's going to die or not.
Amarantha
says that everybody in her court made bets, and the only one person bet that she was going to survive.
The sexiest person in the room.
The sexiest one there knew that she was going to live. Also,
That's right.
Lucien at some point in this is like, yells out like, to your left. And she knows that. Oh, Lucien, between the time that, so when she was in the court the first time, that adder guy just kicked the shit out of her, broke her nose, broke her jaw, all kinds of shit. And Lucien like apparated down to the dungeons and healed her. After this time, so then, okay, so she's all fucked up from the worm, and she goes back down to the dungeon.
She's not fucked up. She's a little fucked up from the worm, but then Amarantha magically gives her a compound fracture in one of her arms.
Oh, I thought that was from the worm.
No, Amarantha did that shit to her.
I can't remember that. Okay, yeah. Okay, but she's fucked up.
Yeah.
She gets sent back down to the dungeon. Lucien never comes to heal her. Right. And she kind of assumes
she is getting fevered.
Yeah, she's not doing well, you guys. And she thinks probably it's because Lucien yelled out and helped her get away from that worm.
Yeah.
That he's been like under watch. Because Tamlin's very under watch. He can't go try to find her. But you know who's not under watch?
Oh, the sexiest guy in the room.
Because he's smart and he's fucking the shit out of
Amarantha.
And she doesn't suspect him of anything.
And because he could walk through walls, and because his clothes don't reflect light.
Yeah, he's the knight, you guys.
He's just the knightiest.
He gets down there to the dungeons, and he's like, hey, girl. Sup, girl?
I've got a fairy bargain for you.
I'm going to cure your fever. Lucien's not coming for you this time because he's doing other stuff. I can heal you. But, like, what I want is you in my night castle for 2 weeks out of the month, every single month. And she starts thinking, it's only 2 weeks out of the month, which, by the way, is half your life, Feyre. She kept saying only 2 weeks, and I'm like, that's half. That's one.
Erin, she is super fevered.
Okay, fair. Okay? But anyway, she negotiates it down to 1 week a month, and then she makes that bargain against the advice of Alice. Yeah. And then he's like, okay, here, you're healed. And then he's tattooed the shit out of her with night tattoos.
Because in his land, bargains are marked with actual marks.
Whatever. That's probably a lie, but she's a lot sexier now, you guys, because she's got night tattoos. And now she's got a connection to that Night King, and it's sexy as hell. And then, so he comes back a few nights later, and he's like, no, wait, he sends ladies to beautify her, and they paint her all over her body, and then they put like a see-through sort of dress on her, but it's sexier than it sounds, you guys.
Okay, no, it's not only a see-through dress, it's just swaths of fabric, like, tied with ropes.
Fair.
So it is, like, mostly just skin every place.
Fair.
So she's just the Night King's goddamn tattooed concubine, and I am so here for it.
I'm here
like,
for
it
it
hurts
too.
Me.
Why can't she? Okay, we'll get there.
So I be tattooed and be the Night King's concubine? I'll wear whatever kind of Grecian shit you want me to.
Okay, so he leads her up to a party. Because he basically wants to show Tamlin, hey, check it out. I tattooed her with my night tattoos. Like, she made a bargain with me, and you don't know what it is.
Well. And also, you guys, he tattooed her with some things that are easily smudged because he doesn't like anybody else touching what's his. Yeah. And so he wants to know if anybody's had their filthy paws on her.
Right. So he makes her drink some wine.
Yeah, he does. And then she just blacks out immediately.
Wakes up in the morning.
Turns out she was a bit of a hoe bag because of the wine. We all liked it.
She danced real sexy for the Night King and sat on his lap all night. I wish that she could have been conscious or at least remembered part of this instead of like a total blackout. Nice. Yeah, I would have liked some of that, but it's okay. We'll read book 2.
But I will say that this didn't weird me out because the other way we know that he did not do anything untoward is because of the smudged paint.
Sure.
So she can see still on her body that the only place the paint is smudged is on her waist and on her arms. He did not touch her any other place, even while she was blackout and dancing sexy and not able to consent.
He's trying to do the right thing.
He's just so good and so bad.
Yeah. Remember when he cut off somebody's head and put it on a statue?
I do remember that.
That was part of the book, too. He tortured a man to death and cut off his head. But I just feel like he's got reasons.
He's got so many reasons. He's got to keep his cover. This motherfucker knows how to play the long game.
Yes.
In a way that Tamlin and Lucien are just terrible at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
All right.
So
at some
task
point, Lucian
number
comes
2.
down.
Yeah, Lucian comes down and he's like, you made a terrible mistake. And she's like, I would have super died, Lucian.
Yeah.
And also, like, you've given me 0 reasons to trust you.
Yeah. Okay, so then the second task comes along. It's sort of like a Star Wars garbage compactor scene. There are 2 rooms. Lucian is chained up on one side, and there's like a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then she is on the other side. And she has to, poor baby,
Mm-hmm.
poor illiterate lady,
Mm-hmm.
she has to read
Solve a written riddle.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a written riddle. That's the other part, is that she has to read said riddle,
Mm-hmm.
figure out what it means, and then choose from one of 3 options. So she's like, they're about to die. There is a heated, spiked
Mm-hmm.
ceiling that is coming down
Yes.
on them. And it is hot.
She's
got to
pull one of 3 levers, and she doesn't know
Yeah.
what to pull. And Lucian's, he knows she can't read, and he's just like, fucking pick one, because we're going to die if you just stand there in fear. And so she reaches for number 2 with the stupidest logic ever. She's like, 2, because me and Tamlin are 2
people.
Stupid. Anyway, she reaches for it, and her hand gets paralyzed in pain.
Yeah.
And then she reaches for it again. Same thing.
Her tattooed hand,
It's the
guys.
tattoos.
It's
because
the
the
sexy
Night
Night
King.
Court tattoo.
And he's
hand.
helping her. And so then
Yeah,
she
he
picks
is.
the right ones because Night King helps her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So she wins that one, and
Mhm.
it's a good time. Meanwhile, when Lucian comes down, you're right. He comes down after the second challenge, and he's like, hey, sorry I didn't make it. Oh, no, it makes no sense, because he's like, why didn't you wait for me? And she was
Mhm.
like, I was dying. And he's like, well, I couldn't actually walk until yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but he never tells her that he's still like, you made a stupid bargain. Like,
Yeah.
is death better than 1 week a month with the sexiest Night King man I've ever seen?
Right?
I don't understand you, Lucian. You continue to make no sense. I love
Right.
you still. Okay.
When does she have to do the thing with the Night King's fireplace? I think that was actually
Fireplace?
before. Yeah. When they're like,
yeah.
you've got to go get all these lentils out of this fireplace, or
Yeah.
the Night King's going to come fillet you.
They're torturing her in between the challenges by doing like housework.
Yeah.
And one of them is that they get sent to a bed chamber, you guys.
Mhm. Yeah.
And she has to pick some lentils out of a fireplace. And then he comes back in and he's like, I mean, I don't mind you being on your knees in my room, but
It's sexy,
what's happening?
You guys. It's good.
so sexy.
It doesn't sound sexy because it's picking lentils out of a fireplace, but it's sexy.
No.
And then he
She
changes into
manages it.
a winged talon-y thing to show her that he can be a wing talon thing. That's nice.
He has wings, you guys.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Ooh, he is a winged sex machine who can walk through walls.
You guys, this whole second half of the book is very like, why did we screw with
It's very
Tamlin
confusing.
for so long? Like, what
Yeah.
is? Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
okay.
it's really confusing.
So
I've primed myself to be ready for one hero, and I was into it, and then
fell
I was
in love
just
with
like,
somebody else.
but there's a bigger,
Yeah.
Okay, so then third challenge rolls around.
You know what it is? Basically, Tamlin is Bill.
You're right.
And
Oh my God.
Rhysand is
And
Eric.
Rhys is Eric. Oh.
And I'm
You're
sure
so
book
right.
3 will give us an Alcide. Anyway.
Oh.
I don't know that to be true, but I assume so.
I would like that, though. Okay.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
Sorry,
Okay,
everyone.
Challenge number Trace.
So she shows up at this place, and they're like, don't worry, this is the easiest challenge yet. All you have to do is murder these 3 hooded fairies.
Yeah, and they're completely innocent. You've just got to murder them up.
And so the first one, she unhoods him, and he's begging for his life, and it's awful.
Mhm.
And he's young, and she knows that like he's also a high fae, so he would live for like 1,000 years or more. He's
Mhm.
immortal unless this thing happens to him. And she's just like, oh fuck, like I have to do this. And it's not
Mhm.
just for me, it's not just for Talon, it's for the fate of Prythian
Right.
forever.
I love
So
that
I
his
have
name
to
has
do
become
this.
Talon for both of us.
Did I say Talon?
I said Talon too.
Oopsies. Tamlin.
We know a Talon, you guys. Anyway.
Yeah. So she shoves the ash dagger right into his heart. And then the next girl, it's a girl, she's young, and she's just like doing a high fae prayer and being like, make it quick. I know this has to happen. For the fate of Prithian, I know this has to happen.
Yeah, good on you.
Which is almost worse. Yeah, but
it is kind of worse,
it's
but
almost
also
worse.
yeah, but also good on you.
But yeah.
Don't beg for your life. You know, she knew what was up. I liked that about her. Anyway,
I liked her too. So she kills her dead as well. And then she looks up at Amarantha with Tamlin sitting at her side. And then they unhood the third figure. That Tamlin next to Amarantha was an apparition.
It was a fake Tamlin.
Real.
Tamlin is really the third thing. And she's like, well, gosh, if I was supposed to like murderate these fairies to prove that I love Tamlin, and one of them's Tamlin, what are they supposed to do?
I don't
understand your logic.
Yeah, and I was with her on that one. I was like, I don't get. You said we would all be free, and we would be together.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
You said,
and then she starts going through the Rolodex of her mind of all the conversations she's heard, and
I didn't remember any of this when she's like, I overheard this, and I was like, no, you did. I don't remember that.
No.
Anyway.
Basically, she remembers that everybo's been saying that Tamlin has a heart of stone.
Stupid.
And she knows that Amarantha
Stupid.
that Amarantha Erin.
I'm sorry, it's dumb.
That Amarantha has taken the high fae's power somehow. And she thinks that she might have done that by like bewitching their heart parts and replacing it with stone. And somebody else had mentioned that Amarantha would never do anything to compromise maybe having Tamlin someday. And so she's like, all I have to do is stab him. It won't kill him because Amarantha would never want to kill him. So I'll stab him and I'm going to do it. And I can't wait. And so she stabs him. And then Amarantha's like, joke's on you, bitch. I said that if you did the riddle, the spell would be broken instantaneously, and you assumed that if you did all the challenges, it would be broken instantaneously. I can just break this thing whenever I want to. I am under no time constraint.
Yeah, basically I told you I'd break it, but I didn't tell you when. And I'm going to wait until you die or whatever. Also, listen, Amarantha?
Amarantha.
Yeah! So close.
You're close.
You
could have been Alibertha.
Like, does she know that she could have just murdered her straight up at the beginning? Does she know that
it's her plaything?
She could have just like not had this challenge at all. Like I don't know. Anyway, okay, sorry.
So things are happening. It's crazy. Amarantha is like this is, and all the fae around them are like, how dare you? Yeah. That's not fair.
They're like,
we
this
heard
is
the bargain
bullshit.
too.
Yeah, we know bargains. We're fairies.
That's right. We're here too.
Yeah.
So basically, she's like, well, fuck, now I gotta try to solve this riddle. Like, I may as well.
Oh my
God.
So
she starts thinking.
She literally
thinking.
hasn't tried until this moment. She's had a month of solitary confinement between each one of these challenges. Yeah. And she hasn't like cooked her noodle at all on the easiest riddle ever.
So basically she's like, the answer is love. And then Amarantha's like, how dare you? Oh my God, you guys. Oh no, we forgot.
What?
We forgot that right before all of this, she has a really pivotal conversation with Rhysand.
Oh yeah,
where he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm sick of being Amarantha's whore. I'm sick of being talked about as Amarantha's whore. Like, I don't think you understand what it's like to go to bed with a person you absolutely fucking hate. And then
he wants her to win.
Why are you telling me all of this? Yeah. And he's like, maybe because I'm lonely and because I need you, basically. It's so hot. And then he's like, I've been parading you around every night because I want Tamlin to be so angry by the time the curse is broken that he just goes ham on her. And one of the ways to do that is to needle him over you.
Because Tamlin's a dummy.
Tamlin's so dumb.
That Rhys has to basically manipulate him into...
Oh, and oh my God, guys, we suck. On one of the nights that he takes her to court, Tamlin takes her off into a dark hallway somewhere, and they start super hot and heavy making out, and he smudges her paint all over the place. And so Rhysand is then he catches them, and he's like, you need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Amarantha is gonna freak the fuck out. Like, you're not allowed to do this.
Like, Tamlin, don't you have paint all over now?
Yeah, I think, he probably had paint all over him.
Yeah.
But he washed real quick or something.
I don't know. So, they don't include that in the
They
plot.
don't include it. I know. So then, as a result, Amarantha's about to walk in the door. Rhysand knows this, and so he makes out with her face to try to
you guys
explain the smudged paint away. It's a whole thing. So Amarantha, after all this happens, and before she solves the riddle, Amarantha's like, if you say that you don't love Tamlin, I'll break this curse right now. And I'm like, these are the easiest words you've ever said in your life.
Yeah.
Just say, I don't love Tamlin.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be true.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What? It's not like a magic spell or something.
No, right.
Anyway, she refuses to say it, even though it'll save everyone. And then she's like, the answer is love. Meanwhile, Rhysand has come out of the woodwork. He has attempted to stab her. He has put his whole body on the line for... he's
just
so
trying
sexy.
to do the right thing.
He really is. He just wants to go fly in the sunshine at some point, even though he's the Night King.
Yeah.
So once the spell is broken, then Tamlin goes after her. She dies. It's a whole thing. Everyone rejoices, and Feyre dies.
Yeah.
I almost called her Freya.
Wait, you missed the part where Amarantha breaks all the bones in Feyre's body and she dies.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That happened before Tamlin killed her.
Oh, sure.
But she still continues to narrate this as her soul floating around the room.
Yes,
Feyre is super dead when Tamlin kills Amanthea. Is this our worst episode so far?
You know what? It was a long book.
You guys, it's so... I'm sorry.
It was a long book that I really enjoyed. I
really
but there
liked
was
it.
No
it was just
way.
hard to remember it.
Yeah.
Sorry. So anyway,
I think that everyone should read this book because I really liked it.
It's great. But she's dead as hell, and her bones are going
Super
every
dead.
which way. And Tamlin's murdered up Amarantha, and she's dead too.
So
all the fairies are
holding
pissed.
her. Yeah, and he's like crying and stuff. And then all of a sudden, they do. Spoiler alert. They can.
No, we're there now.
Change humans.
Yeah.
No, we didn't know this the whole time.
Sure, but
this could have been a cool thing that happened way earlier.
Fair.
So well, though, I guess not. Because all of the kings, all of the lords have to agree. So they come and they take a tear or maybe some spit. I honestly can't remember.
Some kind of bodily fluid.
That's the one. And they give it onto her person. And the next guy comes up. The guy of the summer court comes up. And
I like to think they're just licking her face.
I like to think that too. Just all like that. And so they all come together and they give a shining bodily fluid onto her person. And then she becomes a high fae. She wakes up just indestructible. She's probably got some powers that I'm excited to read about in book 2. She's all the things. And then we get another perfectly reasonable euphemistic sex scene with she and Tamlin. And then we get a really, really bittersweet goodbye scene with the sexiest motherfucker that's ever happened, Rhysand.
Guys. This wasn't an AGA for me, except that I know that she's going to get a week every month.
I mean, but what a conflicted week, you know, because she seems like a pretty monogamous person, and Tamlin seems like a very monogamous person.
He seems like,
I hope he's not. I hope they can share. That's what I want. I want a beautiful life where 3 weeks out of the month she's in spring. And having some perfectly reasonable
Tamlin is
sex
the Bill in this scenario.
with Tamlin.
He's gonna fuck it up by not being able to live with this, and he's gonna because Rhysand is smart, and he's gonna be like, I don't care that you've fucked Tamlin all month. Come to my silky black sheet bed, which I assume, and then
the silky black sheets.
And then, and then she's gonna go back to Tamlin, and Tamlin's gonna be like, "Fuck you." That's what's gonna happen. That's what I think.
I don't know. I'm just into it.
Maybe Tamlin gets dead. Maybe he dies.
No, I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think that this is like a Team Edward, Team Jacob situation.
Well, I'm team Night Court.
Yeah, same here.
I don't know which one that is in terms of Team Edward. I think it's got to be
Jacob.
You think that Night Court is Jacob? You think Tamlin is the forever hero?
No.
Do you think that Rhys is going to end up like betraying her or something?
Oh, I hope not.
I think that could be it too. Is like Tamlin is the like hero OG of the series, and she's going to keep going. You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't know, guys. We don't know. We haven't read. We haven't read
them. We're going to.
Yeah.
Anyway, they go back to the spring court. I'm pretty sure they're like on the path to in like a marriage. Pretty sure. And Tamlin's like, we're gonna figure out a way to get you out of this night court bargain. And I'm like,
bullshit,
nobody wants
Tamlin.
that.
No one wants that.
Nobody wants
to
that.
include your new wife.
Yeah,
she's into it. So fucking deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we're sorry.
I super like that. I'm sorry it was a bit
if
jumbled.
This was your first episode, just give us a shot.
Yeah, it's not always like this.
It's not like this. Oh man, do you have a lady love? I do.
Yeah. What's your lady love?
It's the podcast I sent you this week. So if you listen to My Dad Wrote a Porno, or even if you don't listen to the podcast My Dad Wrote a Porno, they did a footnotes episode, which is where they have on like a celebrity. Usually they're reading the pornography that one of their dads writes. But sometimes they have on celebrity guests that listen to their podcast. And this week was Emma Thompson, and she was a delight. If you want to listen to
more my queen,
Dame Emma Thompson talk about sexual health, which you do. You just do. She was...
Erin did.
Yeah,
Erin wanted to listen to it.
Oh, she is a treasure. And it was delightful. It delighted me. I listened to it twice. And her daughter, too, is on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was just lovely.
She uses the word cunt several times, and her husband is in the background. He walks in while she's talking about sex stuff, and she says cunt, and you can hear him in the background being like, what are you talking about? Cunts and blowjobs? And then he fucks off somewhere else. It's outstanding.
As he makes all of them lunch.
Mm-hmm. And she talks about how she wants to play this one character that's in the dad's porno named the Duchess, who is a lot of like BDSM stuff. And she's like, I have the props, so I'm the best person for the role. So and then she's like calling over to her husband. And she's like, do we have any whips? We have whips. And he's like, we have a whip. It's small. And she's like, yeah, I have the props. Outstanding.
It's so wonderful. You know what? My lady love is so lame.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I do this thing where I make these really ambitious lists, and then I just let them mock me for a while. I do the same thing with messages. I'll read a message sometimes, and then I'll be like, fuck, I have to get back to that person, and then I have to do something else, and then I think about it every once in a while for a long time before I finally like get back to the message. And I cause my own anxiety. So my lady love this week is just like, tackle whatever you haven't been tackling. Mm-hmm. Just, you got to do it.
You got to do it. You got to get it done.
You got to do it. This week, because I'm doing a lot of like prep the house so that I don't have to do anything when this goddamn wombat finally makes its breach. And so I culled the bathroom and I reorganized it. I've got to reorganize the hall closet. Like, I've just been motoring through some household stuff that I hate but has to be done. Mm-hmm. And I just, every time I pull the Post-it note off of my to-do Post-it board, is just the best feeling in the whole wide world.
It is nice.
So whether it's work or house stuff or messages or, you know, friendship tasks, whatever it is, just get it off your list, do it, and you'll feel so much better. That is my lady love.
It's a good lady love. I like that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like our lady loves are reversed this week.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a lady love that you would say, and I would say the podcast.
But I sent it to you before I was even done listening.
It was amazing. It was so good.
All right.
Okay. You can find us on all the places. On Facebook, we have a page, which is Heaving Bosoms Podcast, and a group, which is the Heaving Bosoms Podcast Geriatric Friendship Cult. Please Ask us to join, and we'll see if you're worthy.
No, you're all worthy. Unless you're like very clearly a bot, you're worthy.
Yeah, exactly.
At Heaving Bosoms on Instagram, at Heaving_Bosoms on Twitter, HeavingBosomsPodcast@gmail.com. And if you would like extra special bonus content, like you get to hear a couple tinglers more than you heard last week, send us some money at Patreon. Heaving Bosoms Podcast, and you'll get to hear that bonus content.
Hell
is that
it? That is it.
All right.
Keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love
Calamari
silky
parties.
Black sheets.
Calamari
Parties.
Calamari parties where you meet a sexy
dancing topless at a calamari party. Yes, that's it.
I don't want to redo it. I just want to leave it there. Let's just leave it there. I liked it. Uncut. Peek behind the curtains. Right. If you slog through this whole thing, you get
guys, this is how
behind
we do
the scenes. All right. Okay. I love you.
I love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.